Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, we're going to take a look at the second selection box for the month of September. And in this box, you have until September the 23rd midnight PDT to get them. But first, let's take a look at the 12 Tsums. We have Leroy, Beanstalk Mickey, Eve, Wonderland Alice, Rainbow Tinkerbell, Peter Pan, Yen Sid, Aladdin, Angel, Timon, Clarice, and Anna. So these are the 12 Tsums that we have, and honestly out of these 12 there aren't really that many Tsums in here that I really recommend. And essentially pretty much the ones that they advertise would be the top 3. So my top 3 for this month, I would really like Leroy as my number 1. And then number 2 and number 3 are kind of close depending on what type of style player you are. But number 2 for me would be Eve, and then number 3 is Beanstalk Mickey. The reason why I like Leroy a little bit more than the others is because coin earning potential is quite high compared to the other 12. Honestly, compared to the game in general, Leroy is not that great, so you could honestly skip all 12 of these. Similar to Eve and Beanstalk Mickey, they're good for coins, but really not necessarily great for anything else. But Leroy is kind of cool and kind of fun, and also very easy to use. But honestly, save your coins. This selection box, you could likely skip it. We could be getting some exciting Tsums for next month, so I recommend just saving it. But regardless, let's take a look at the 12 Tsums anyways and see which ones you might want to collect depending on your preference. So the first Tsum that we have is Leroy, so let's take a look at Leroy. Leroy is from the Lilo & Stitch series, and the animation description for Leroy is he will clear random groups of Tsum Tsum in one go. And currently I do have Leroy at skill level 6, so the circular clear will be 16. And this might be a little bit confusing because it just says circular clears, and what does that really mean? So when Leroy's animation comes out, he is shooting his little blasters and blasting a bunch of Tsums on the screen. And what the 16, or essentially what the circular clears mean, is how many little ammo that he's really going to shoot out. So if you really slow this down and count them all, there are actually 16 little blasts that comes out and clears a lot of random Tsums. So one of the reasons why I like Leroy a lot is that you don't have to prepare for Leroy. And what I mean by that is because the animation doesn't freeze the screen. All you have to do is just keep spamming the ability button as you're playing and clear as fast as you can. And you'll get a high score and also a pretty decent amount of coins. So that's really the strategy. If you take a look at the bottom left hand corner as I collect these Leroys on the screen, it will go into the next charge. So see right there, I activated the ability and I still have a quarter-ish charged up already, and that's because I activated the ability while I'm spamming the ability button. And that's the strategy you want to use, is to spam the skill button as you are playing the game. When you know that you're about to get a full charge, just spam the skill button because any residual will go into the next charge. So Leroy is pretty good for coins, good for score, and also pretty good for combo. So that's the reason why I really like Leroy out of the 12 here. So at the end of this gameplay, I did end up with 3,155 coins, which is pretty good. Not amazing, but also not that bad. Leroy is skill level 6 though, so technically I would expect a little bit more. But given how easy it is to use Leroy, not too bad. Next, we have Beanstalk Mickey from Mickey and Friends. And the animation description for Beanstalk Mickey is tap the magic bean that appears and they'll clear surrounding Tsum Tsum. So Beanstalk Mickey for me is number 3 out of my top 3. But honestly, it's probably close to 2 and 3. So really depending on your gameplay and what you like, it's really up to you. The reason why I think Beanstalk Mickey is a little bit more complicated to use is there is a little bit of strategizing compared to Eve. But anyways, I do have Beanstalk Mickey at skill level 6 right now, and the skill range is extra large, and what that means is every time I clear a bean or tap on the bean when they appear, I guess you could say the vines are longer as you level up your skill level. So the animation, as you see on the screen here, what happens is a bunch of, well, not a bunch of, there's going to be 3 beans that will pop up on the screen. And what happens is when you tap on the bean, it will create a crawling vine and clear a bunch of Tsums in the surrounding areas. So what you want to do is before you activate the ability, you want to make sure the Tsums fall down and let it settle. And then tap on the bean from top to bottom ideally. And you want to make sure that you give it a couple of fractions of a second and make sure all the Tsums have fallen down, there are no gaps. That will allow the vines to crawl throughout the screen here. So you definitely want to just do that. But other than that, that's really the strategy you want to use for Beanstalk Mickey. He is relatively easy to use, but you just want to make sure that you strategize a little bit better. I actually didn't play a perfect game here, so for this demonstration, you could definitely get a lot more coins than I did. Two things I didn't do here is I didn't really wait for all the zooms to settle down, and then two is I didn't really spam the skill button as they charged up. So those are the two things that you want to do when you are using Beanstalk Mickey. At the end of this gameplay, I only got 1,861 coins, so not necessarily ideal for coins and not that great for score either. Next we have Eve from Wall-E. And the animation description for Eve is that she will clear a horizontal line of Tsum Tsum. I currently have Eve at skill level 4, and the skill range is a large. So Eve is my number 2 out of the 3, and the reason why I like Eve a little bit more is the coins that you're able to earn at a lower skill level, and also how much easier it is to use Eve. Eve is just like every other horizontal line clear Tsum that you get. It's pretty basic and easy to use. All you really have to do is just make sure the center area has a lot of zooms before you activate the ability, and you'll get a lot of clears there. And Eve has a relatively lower charge time compared to other horizontal line of zoom clears. So it's what that essentially means is that you're gonna just be able to activate a lot more abilities per game, which essentially translates to you earning a lot more coins. Then that's really the strategy to using Eve. Two things: make sure that the center has a lot of zooms, and then you activate it as much as possible and focus on just clearing Eve. So that's pretty much it for Eve. At the end of this gameplay, I did get 2,113 coins, so a pretty good Tsum, but not amazing because I am using 2,300 coins worth of boost as well. I'm playing with a 5-4 on, and also the coin boost. So I am just kind of going for luck here, hopefully getting more coins. So really, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, all 12 of these Tsums are kind of mediocre, so you could definitely save your coins. Eve is my number 2, and as you could tell, really not amazing. Next, we have Wonderland Alice from Alice in Wonderland. And the ability description for Wonderland Alice is: for a short time, Alice gets smaller and is cleared when surrounding Tsums are cleared. I currently have Wonderland Alice at skill level 5, and the animation will last a total of 9 seconds. So what happens here is during the animation, all of the Alices on the screen will become a lot smaller. And what also happens is during this 9 seconds, any Alice that falls from the top to the bottom will also be small. And the cool thing about this is when you are clearing Tsums that are touching Alice, they automatically will get popped and they count towards your chain. So what your strategy here when you are using Wonderland Alice is that you want to have enough Alice on the screen to clear them. And then what you want to do is just clear just enough to charge up your ability, and then get a lot of Alice on the screen before you activate the ability, because what happens when you do activate the ability, a bunch of Wonderland Alices will be on the screen, and you could connect and make a really long chain. So using Wonderland Alice is one of those strategies where you need to make a really long chain. Unfortunately, I'm not really great at that, but if you are someone that could spot a really long chain and make really long chains, then Wonderland Alice could be a Tsum that you may want to consider using. But honestly, there are better Tsums out there to use, so unless you are just looking for a Tsum to switch off, you could probably skip Wonderland Alice. At the end of this gameplay, I only got 1,006 coins. So pretty low for a skill level 5 Tsum. I would have expected at least in the 2,000. So for that reason, Wonderland Alice isn't great for coins and also not really great for combos. Could be a viable Tsum for really long chains though, if you are looking for a long chain Tsum. Next, we have Rainbow Tinkerbell from Disney Fairies. The ability description for Rainbow Tinkerbell is she will clear Tsums in the center and at the side of the screen. I currently have Rainbow Tinkerbell at skill level 4, and the skill range is going to be a large. And the cool thing about this animation is essentially Tinkerbell is almost in a way making her dress, and the areas that she's snipping off is like the blast area. The center area ultimately gets blasted as well, or clears a bunch of Tsums in the center. So what happens during the animation is the left and the right get snipped off with the leaves, and then the dress part will also be a center clear. So the animation for Rainbow Tinkerbell is actually pretty cool. Essentially a leaf becomes her dress and then it gets cut, and then that's how her dress is made. Really the only thing I really like about Rainbow Tinkerbell essentially is really the animation. I guess another thing could be that the animation or the skill itself is really easy to use. There's not much to it. You just want to make sure that the screen, the entire screen, has a lot of zooms, because it does clear essentially the left, the right, and the center of the center area. So you want to make sure that there is a lot of zooms on the screen, and get rid of the bubbles if you can, because that does impede in your last blast there. But that's really the strategy for Rainbow Tinkerbell. At the end of this demonstration, I got 1,803 coins, so not too bad for a burst zoom. But there are better zooms out there. But yeah, 1,803 coins for this demonstration. Next, we have Peter Pan from the Peter Pan series. And Peter Pan's ability description is clears a vertical line of Tsum Tsum. And currently I have Peter Pan as skill level 4 and the skill range of large. And Peter Pan is really simple to use, and these vertical line of zoom clears are typically better than horizontal zooms. And the animation for this, essentially Peter Pan will fly across the screen and does like this, I guess you could call it like a bone shape in a way, like I guess sideways U on both sides. I don't really know what the shape is. Maybe like a squeezed capital H. I think that's the best way to describe it. But it does bounce off each other and they clear a horizontal or vertical line of zoom. So it's pretty simple and self-explanatory there. One of the cool things about Peter Pan is that when they do the vertical line of clears, it does clear the center area as well. So you don't necessarily need to fully set it up. As long as you have your ability charged up, then you can activate it to start the ability in clearing it. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer vertical zooms versus horizontal zooms. And at the end of this gameplay, only at skill level 4, I was able to get 2,106 coins, so pretty good for a skill level 4 zoom. I suspect that if I were able to get Peter Pan to a higher skill level, I definitely would be able to get more, maybe even breaking into the 3,000 threshold. Next, we have Yen Sid from Fantasia. And the skill description for Yen Sid is Tsum Tsums become easier to chain for a short time. And unfortunately for me, Yen Sid is probably the worst one out of the 12. But this is for me, maybe not for you, because I am terrible at making really long chains. And really Yen Sid's ability is that during the animation, it slows down the time. And then also magic bubbles will become like these little butterfly bubbles, and they blast a bigger area. So if you are someone that could make really long chains and could play really fast, and during the ability you would be creating a lot of magic bubbles, so that could be viable for you. Another thing to note is that it's also easier to chain. What that means is that you don't necessarily need to follow the patterns. You could connect them all over the screen and they will count as one long chain. So yeah, I'm not really great at making long chains, so for that reason I struggled with Yen Sid. And at the end of this gameplay, I only got 833 coins with a skill level 4 zoom. So there are definitely a lot of better zooms out there. And at skill level 4, the animation does last 6 seconds with the skill range of large. So essentially, like, you're just going to get a bigger blast when the butterfly bubble comes up. That bubble is going to be large. Next, we have Aladdin from the Aladdin series. And the ability description for Aladdin is he turns an entire row into Prince Ali, Tsum Tsum, and they can be cleared with Aladdin. So essentially, when there's a vertical line that pops out and they turn into Ali, and you could just connect them and make a really long chain. And again, similar to Yen Sid, because I'm not good at making really long chains and clearing fast, these type of zooms aren't great for me. So maybe you will have a better result than I do. Right now, I do have Aladdin at skill level 6. And the skill range is extra large, and what that means is essentially that vertical line that comes down at the very beginning of the ability will be a lot wider. So if you only have Aladdin at skill level 1, you may only have 1 or 2 lines of Prince Ali, so it's a little bit more difficult to get a longer chain if that's the case. But even at skill level 6, at the end of this gameplay, I only got 890 coins. So not that great for me, but if you are someone that can make really long chains, then you probably could do a lot better. So Aladdin's probably good for long chains, but yeah, not really great for anything else in my opinion. Next, we have Angel from Lilo and Stitch. And the ability description for Angel is only 2 types of Tsum Tsum appears for a short period of time. I currently have Angel at skill level 6, and her ability will last a total of 7 seconds. So let's take a look at the ability here. The entire screen will turn into essentially just Stitch and also Angel. And one of the things that you should do is really focus on one type of Tsum at once. So if you are focused on clearing Stitch, then do that and chain as long as you can, and then alternate. So if you start with Stitch, then go to Angel. And if you're able to squeeze in a third clear in there, then you definitely want to go back to Stitch. If you are able to get like 3 or 4 clears in these during the ability, what you can also try is to clear only Stitches and then doing a big Angel at the very end. So there are different ways you could strategize into using this ability. I find it that if you focus on clearing one type of Tsum twice first and then the rest the other one, it's a lot better. So for example, you might want to clear 2 different types of Angels right off the bat, and then the third one clear a really big Stitch, and then if you have time, then clear more. So that's one of my strategies in using Angel. At the end of this gameplay, I only got 919 coins. I'm not the greatest at connecting really long chains or strategizing where to chain them. So for that reason, I got a really low score. But if you are a fast player and could connect a really long chain, you could definitely do a lot better than I did here for Angel. Next, we have Timon from The Lion King, and Timon's ability description is high-scoring Pumbaa Tsum Tsum appears that you can link to Timon Tsum Tsum. Essentially what happens during the ability is that a bunch of big Timon shows up and you could clear them. So Timon is actually a Tsum that you want to get for that reason. So if you are looking for a Tsum to get really big bubbles, then Timon is a good option. I currently have Timon at skill level 6, and it will change a total of 7 Tsums on the screen into giant Pumbas. And the reason why Timon is an important Tsum for the game is sometimes when you are playing these missions or doing bingo cards, you have to make big Tsums. Like you might have to get like 2 big Tsums in one game, or maybe 4 big Tsums in a game. Timon is one of those Tsums where it will just generate big bubbles or big Tsums, and you could automatically pass those missions very easily. If you don't have a big generating Tsum, then this is probably a good one to try to get. But if you already have one, then definitely don't need to try to get Timon. Because at the end of this gameplay, Timon at skill level 6, I only got 1,346 coins. So not necessarily the greatest for coins, but it is good for generating big bubbles if you don't already have one. And by big bubbles, I mean big Tsums on the screen. Next, we have Clarice from Chippendale. And Clarice's ability description is turns an entire row into Chippendale Tsum Tsum that can be cleared with Clarice. I currently have Clarice at skill level 6, and the skill range for this is going to be extra large. And I feel like for this month, there's a bunch of these Tsums for some reason. There's a lot of these Tsums that where you could just change them into other supporting Tsums, and you could clear them together by using a really long chain. Unfortunately, I'm not good at those, so Clarice isn't going to be one that I'm also good at. But if you do need a Tsum that is a sweetheart calling Tsum, then Clarice is a good option. We sometimes get those missions where you have to clear a mission where you have to utilize a sweetheart calling Tsum. Clarice is one of those. It does call Chippendale into the game, and then the ability does consider it, or the game does consider that a sweetheart calling Tsum. So if you have those missions that are a little difficult, or you just don't have one in general, then Clarice is good for that. At the end of this gameplay, Clarice at skill level 6, I did get 1,351 coins. I guess like considering the 12 of these all aren't that great, it's not too bad, but I am using 5-4 and coin boost, so not that great for a coin investment. And finally, we have Anna from Frozen, and the ability description for Anna is Elsa that can be connected with Anna appears. Elsa also clears surrounding Tsum Tsum. So this one is a little bit complicated with their ability description, but let me actually talk about what happens. So when you activate the ability, it will change some Tsums on the screen into Elsa's. In my case, I do have Anna at skill level 6, so it's going to change anywhere between 9 to 12 Tsums into Elsa's. And then what happens is when you do connect Elsa's on the screen, you could also link Anna along with it. And every Elsa that you clear on the screen will burst surrounding Tsums as well. So it kind of acts like a bubble that you're clearing, which is pretty good. So if you are able to make a really long chain like I did just there, you can technically clear a lot of Tsums on the screen. So that's one of the strategy I would recommend using Anna. I actually didn't do a good job here demonstrating that, but before you activate the ability, you want to clear off as much non-Annas as possible. What you could also do is you could activate the ability and then clear a bunch of non-Annas off the screen, non-Anna and Elsa off the screen, and then make a really long chain. If you have half the screen full of Anna and Elsa's, you're very likely to be able to fully clear the entire screen. I would say like don't waste too much time though. You want to maybe after you activate the ability, spend 1 or 2 seconds to clear anything else that's not Anna and Elsa, and try to make a really long chain that way. At the end of this gameplay, for Anna at skill level 6, I did get 1,314 coins. Not great, but not bad either. Anna could be considered a sweetheart calling Tsum, I believe, so this could be another option for you that's pretty decent. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you guys found this video helpful in determining which one of the 12 Tsums that you want to invest in, but honestly for this month I do recommend you just skipping it and saving your coins for the next month. And if you would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching.